So I want to take this back to something you said a long time ago. You were talking about how some people will come to you and like they don't need a matchmaker. Just take your hair down, just show up here, show up there. How do you know the difference between someone who really needs a matchmaker and someone who just needs to just go off and do it themselves? They're not, I guess, trying hard enough on their own.
And I could go back probably, Sierra, to Ebony's point about a little bit of, again, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm not trying to, again, I'm not even trying to get leads from this because right now, actually, I'm not on social media. I get my leads just from the base network of referrals. But I would say it's a little bit of just like, it's like my thing. There's just people, I'm talking to them and I'm engaging them like, you don't belong here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though you didn't tell me you think that I'm gonna solve all your problems, I feel that you think this is a magic wand. And I
Mm.
don't want to give any romantic, you know, romanticism. I don't want to over romanticize matchmaking.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be a part of something that could lead you feeling more defeated because the process is hard. Any of my colleagues would tell you, I mean, I've had clients, Paul has had clients, a lot of my matchmakers, like, I mean, like people are just like falling apart because this one part of their life, which is really critical to their whole life,
Mm-hmm.
is just not working, and how they feel so defeated and so frustrated and just cannot believe that I'm at this age, at this point in my life, and I don't have anyone to connect with and grow my family, that they just feel like this is my last, this is it. I'm gonna put all my eggs in this basket and you gonna make it happen for me. And that's one aspect that I'll be like really kind of like, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to lead you down there. But then also there's some people I'm like, the way you're talking, I mean, I've had actually a potential client now. She's been coming to me almost yearly since she was 22.
Wow.
And every year I shoo her away.
Oh.
Because once I get into a good conversation, see what she's doing, see where her head is at, I'm like, no, like you still need to continue your own organic path. You don't need a professional presenting somebody for you or for you on your behalf. So I want to say that is something that I think is intrinsic just about my engagement with my clients when I really feel like they don't need to go to a matchmaker. I don't think it would be to their benefit. I think it might be to their detriment.
That makes sense. And I have another one. I'm sorry. But it interests me a lot that you said your age, because
Mhm.
black don't crack, you look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
But then you also said you've been married, was it 4 years?
Almost,
Almost four
yeah,
years.
almost 4 years.
So that goes out to a lot of people right now are in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're just yearning to be married. And they feel as though there's this gap because they're not married. You got married later in life. So,
I
what
did.
is some advice you would give to a woman that feels as though they need to hurry up and get married right now?
One, I'll go ahead and just do the disclaimer. I know the reason why I might have felt comfortable to get married late. I mean, I had, my son early.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no fertility on my back. I
Mm.
had him
Mm.
very early. Like he's about your age. So it's like literally like I had him early enough that that kind of eliminated the whole thing about, and I never wanted any more children. So that was just me.
That
So I
took the
never wanted to
pressure
have
off.
children. Yeah, it took all the pressure off. I could date freely. I could marry when I wanted to. So I totally get that my experience is different from some other single women who are approaching late 30s, early 40s, and they're like, this is a whole different ball game. But what I would say is that there is, and me and him were together. We lived together for most of our relationship. We've been together 15 years. So most of our relationship, we lived together. So coming from a Christian background and,
Mm.
both of us came from two-parent households. So there was a lot of comments earlier about us shacking up and things like that. And there was a lot of people also like, well, what's wrong with you? Why don't you get married? You done totally blended your life and so forth. But me and my now husband really did respect so much the highest level of romantic connection as marriage that we neither one of us wanted to do it until we really knew this is it. So even in a relationship, you might think it just makes sense to keep on moving towards marriage. But I tell people that just understand that the responsibility, the legal responsibility, the business aspect of marriage is a whole difference than laying up with someone and loving on someone that you both really need to be in sync And even if you're together for years, don't let other people move up your clock.
Mm, mm.
Again, the caveat is I understand the whole children thing. That does create another angst. But what I would say to you very honestly, that obviously had nothing to do with either one of you because y'all are in the prime of you have time to consider. But
Mhm.
to be honest, if you came to me and we did the podcast today and you were 36, 37, I would say something different.
That's
That's
okay.
interesting.
I like it. That's real though. Right here on the real play, giving us the real talk, right?
Yeah.
um, I do have a lighthearted question because I've been thinking about this ever since you got on. What do you think about the movie Hitch? Because you're the female Hitch for me right now. And I just been thinking about it and how, he has a little card and that's how people they don't really know who he is, his real
Mhm.
job, and they kind of slide the card to the next person. And
Yeah.
at the end, they do end up getting married, and then he ends up finding his little boo or whatever. But when you saw that movie, which came out less than 15 years ago, so you were already in the industry, what was
Yeah.
your thoughts when you saw it? How realistic was it to you?
One, I immediately thought of Paul.
Okay.
Um, the difference, though, is that see, Paul comes from being married. He didn't date a lot, so
Hmm.
that was a part of our synergy. That I had been single longer and he had been married, so it was like the greatest orchestration to hear from both ends of what it's like to get married early and stay with the love of your life all your life versus, I mean, when I was 75 men, just that one quarter.
Love
But
it.
my numbers are higher than that in regards to dating interactions and or lovers or one-offs or what have you. So seeing Hitch to me, like, what to your points here, I actually really connected to the part that he was trying to keep the privacy because I have
Hmm.
so many people who was just like, like you should be talking this, doing this more, or whatever. And I'm like, people don't want their matchmakers known.
Right.
Me and one of my lead matchmakers went to a wedding where we were I mean, we were even in their pre-video. This big, lavish, beautiful wedding. It was actually highlighted in Essence, and we were highlighted as what were we, friends? And we were both like,
Okay.
oh, whatever you, because we didn't ask to be in their highlighted video, but I
Uh-huh.
think both of them wanted us at the wedding. They wanted us to be a part of it, but they did not want people to know how they met.
Mm.
So we had to be this kind of fictitious friend. But I'm telling you, it was awkward because I think a lot of people in that video was so significant to the couple.
And then here you guys,
Yeah. Like, who are y'all?
they
I
were
never
like,
seen you
"What
before.
friends? When did you? We never heard of them before."
Right.
Yeah, like who is G and Tasha? Why are they in your highlight video? Why are they giving testimony to your love? And we were like, they're just the greatest people that we were just so glad to be a part of their journey. And what else do you want us to say? And they were like, well, that's it, that's enough. So it's one of those things where I respect the confidentiality. When I saw what happened in the movie, I really associated with that part where it was just like people do think that you're kind of, puppeteering people and
Hmm.
that you're playing with them. And it's like, no, we take, most of my team, almost all of my team are social science backgrounds, social work, psychology, human service, all of us. So we're cut from that cloth of really having a high level of belief in helping and supporting people in some aspect of their life. But we also have a high level of belief and understanding around confidentiality. And most of my cohorts in this Black love space, like, you're only as good as people don't share, because ultimately if people knew too much, like, about who we serve or what we do, then our businesses will collapse, because people, again, we're not getting the credit, we're not getting the highlight reel, we're not going to be, get, again, like, had somebody just asked me, just started thinking about it, somebody wanted they wanted my reviews, and I was like, I don't have any. And they're like, you're not on Yelp or whatever. I'm like, no.
No.
No, like, oh, do you have any testimonials? I like, I can give you 1,000, but to be in all honesty, like, how much do you believe in testimonials when you know they can be paid for?
Hmm.
When you do your Amazon reviews, I mean, when I bought this hair, I looked at the videos, I was just like, is this really the same hair? I don't know. I guess I can trust her. Is she getting paid for this? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it ended up being some really good hair. So I was just like, okay, so I made a good decision. But how much can I really believe in testimonials when we know that they're being paid? And in this kind of service, if you want me to share a few things, so if you need me write something up, I can do that. But I would prefer that we have a really good contract and that we
Mm-hmm.
have a really good refund policy and that I have a high level of integrity. And you can choose to troll and look me up, and you'll probably see some things that maybe somebody said about the Paul Brunson Agency or GS the Matchmaker somewhere in our footprint, but you're not going to see a whole lot. Considering all the people we serve, we've kept a really stellar presentation of professionalism that I think has left us to be the hitches, of modern times. And so I think Will Smith did a great job, and I was proud when I saw it because it made me think mostly of Paul.
Okay.
What's really good is, love never goes out of business.
No.
Everyone always wants love, so you'll always be in business. Um, I think one of my last questions for you is, you said you're not on social media a lot, right? But
Mhm.
there's a lot of things going around about Black love and Black excellence and
Mhm.
um, celebrity men dating other races, where Black women, we don't really date outside our race as much. What do you think about the state of, I guess, Black love right now?
I love the Black love excellence. I love that hashtag. I think it's great. I love that people authentically share their love story because true people who have been in love for a long time are not going to give you again the fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
Love is as beautiful as it is agonizing. That's what I think makes it so unique because there's all types of love, but romantic love is the only love that someone has to do it with you. It's like a life goal that you can't do by yourself.
Sure.
So you can't be successful in romantic love as you in career, fitness, health, finances, social network. You can do all that by yourself, but you
Mm-hmm.
can't do romantic love by yourself. That's what makes it so agonizing and frustrating, but also beautiful and the best all at the same time. So I love the Black excellence and love. I love all of that. And I am one of those people who say very openly when people contact me, um, I serve Black women. That's just my thing. So if you want to date outside your race, I tell people very upfront, we have a sprinkle of non-Blacks, but I don't make a lot of effort to serve non-Blacks. I learned a long time ago that there's enough love in our community that I don't need to look elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And from my experience as a Black woman who's been single longer than I've been in a relationship, a Black single mother, a Black woman of a certain age, now being 50, I feel like there's some relatability that I can offer. And so if I have a client, man or woman, who says they want to date outside their race, no judgment. But to be honest, I have more people who say things like, I don't date light skin, dark skin, I don't, and things like that. I don't date people with weaves or wigs, or, or I mean, what's ironic, you have just so many people who be like, oh, I don't do the Angela Davis. I want a woman who stays glammed up. I like a woman who takes care of herself. So I have more of those conversations and having to tell people there's no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Just letting you know that I present based on criteria of non-starters. So it is not a non-starter that you don't date dark-skinned people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to look at it that way, but I'm going to keep it as a strong preference and understood. But anyone who wants to date outside their race, man or woman, I'm just letting them know up front. I'm not making a lot of effort because that's not in my database. So I would have to actually hire a recruiter, and that means that's a higher price point. And that means that you probably should look at another professional to serve you.
I like that you are only servicing Black women, particularly because I think that our race is the most, our grandparents and their parents, they stayed together, but
Yeah.
now everything is so divided, everything is so separate. And I think we need um, more romantic relationships and more to see more Black love, because that's not always the norm.
And it's inspiring. Black love, romantic love supports Black communities that support
Mm,
Black states that support Black countries or countries in general. So a
right.
strong romantic relationship in someone's home, what I do in my home, my husband, matters to what happens in my community, matters what happens to my state. So it's bigger than just love, like again, the romantic stuff, but also just being honest again. Like again, if you want to date outside your race, that's fine. And I also have had actually a lot of Black men who I've had great conversations with because, again, that stigma of Black women being loyal to our Black men. And I
Mhm.
am one of them. My book is called In Search of James Evans because my first romantic crush was James Evans from Good Times.
All right.
Like you don't get any blacker than James Evans.
You
You're not,
don't.
we don't get any blacker than that. But it's just my admiration. But my understanding from countless Black men talking to me why they dated outside their race, it goes back to why I started in this business in the first place. Because there was a whole lot of Black women who were looking at the corny Black man and was not dating them. So there was a lot of Black men was like, Black women didn't want to date me.
Hmm.
I dated who wanted to date me. So I am a big supporter and advocate. Date who wants to date you. I'm just saying, I don't have no non-blacks here. That's it.
Drops mic. Wow. I feel like I can just ask you question after question, but I'm not going to do that because we said we was going to try to stick to a certain amount of time. But one last question. This is really my last question. And Ebony, if you have any more, that's cool. But my last question is for those women, oh, you say that there's a lot of men that just kind of needed a little sprucing up, and then
Yeah.
that's all they really need because that's all we can work with them to a certain extent, but you just got to come a little bit with a little swag.
Yeah, a little bit
Just a
something.
little something.
Where would you tell the average 30-some woman to place herself so
Hmm.
she can run into said newly swagged man and do it herself?
Paul used to say, and I still use this today,
Starbucks.
no, steakhouses.
Really?
Ah.
Manly man likes a good steak. So like a
Okay.
really, he was also a big proponent of hotel. And again, this is all pre-COVID. Hopefully when
Mhm.
things change, so I'll give a adjusted list. Pre-COVID, steakhouses, hotel bars and lounges. Even
Mhm.
if you're not staying in the hotel, post yourself up, hang out in the lobby, get yourself an article, magazine, look very cute,
I like
see
it.
who comes in and out. And obviously some of this might be known pretty much like sports places.
Stars. Mm-hmm.
So like a sports bar, sports arenas, like even if you like our whole model is based off of the gauntlet. I'm not a football fan, but
Mhm.
I'm a basketball fan. But for purposes of trying to get my man, I can turn into a football fan. I can hang out with you. I don't, and again, most men are just looking for companionship. They're not looking for you to break down the stats. And there's a
Mhm.
lot of women who are huge sports fans. So it's not to say
Yes.
you couldn't have that synergy, but it was like in regards to placing yourself organically, sports bars, hotel lounges and lobbies, and steakhouses. Again, nice steakhouses. Current COVID situations, being all masked up, considering the social distancing, we would definitely encourage, and I've had quite a few of my clients, do more outdoors activities, obviously with the weather
Mm-hmm.
not being ideal, but when the weather is nice, hiking, walking, bicycling, putting yourself in position to like at least be able to like run into someone and maybe like they see you doing your like outside thing and they
Mhm.
ask you a question, and ultimately with the mask on we know at some point you got to like put it down, but at least if you're outside you can put it down and put it back up.
Right.
So we encourage people to again place yourself in situation to get more vitamin D, be outside, but again be fashionably appropriate, because again the idea is the same thing with the pictures. You want to seem active, but you don't want to seem non-hygienic, and you don't want to seem like all a mess, because there are opportunities where even under a mask, people are catching eyes
Mm-hmm.
and people are looking at people and wanting to learn more.
Oh, that's good. I never thought about. I feel like I read somewhere about a steakhouse. What's the one in Atlanta? I can't think of the name. But
Even if you pick up the food, I tell people, like my husband know I'm real big on this, like I am dressing up to just go pick up my food. That is a full-on date. We're driving to pick up our food, but I'm dressing up. And so even if again, it's not, as safe to like do much interaction, but being cute, picking up your food, having a cute mask, maybe even with a little saying on it to like start conversation. I always tell people you can say a lot with your eyes. You can actually say a lot with your hands, like keep your nails done. You never know what could be a conversation starter. Like what you accessorize, even your coat. I always tell people, my clients, I'm big on accessories make such a difference because a lot of men are curious as to why did you make that choice?
They
And
care. They
just
actually
just
care.
kind of asking the question could start a whole conversation as to like who you are. So your accessories could be not just for utility, it could actually be conversation starters.
I have like two things. One is I had read somewhere like rings, like don't wear any rings because guys just automatically assume that you're married when you do. At least if you wear it on the ring finger. Dang it, where's my other question? Oh, glancing at guys. So if I see a guy out, how long should I glance? Like, should I just look away, you know, before I
It's so
see
funny that
crazy?
it's another one of Mr. Brunson's secrets that we actually teach, like when we do group sessions, the look back. So the idea is to catch eyes, you look away, but it's very important to look back and lock eyes twice.
Okay.
It's imperative that they know you're interested. So the first glance might not cut it. And the gawking could be awkward. Like if you keep staring at them, and vice versa, men too. Like you keep
Right.
staring at me, you're gonna make me feel uncomfortable and like
Yes.
run. But the looking, looking away, but clearly looking back is typically language for men that she's open to have a conversation.
Okay.
And because now with us covering and our eyes being so important, I know I wear glasses a lot. And so if I was single, I would definitely make sure that my eyes are dolled up and that I didn't wear my glasses because I would want someone to see that I'm paying them attention. So it's just kind of imperative now to ensure that you're kind of minimizing any other blockers, considering a lot of us are wearing masks when we're out.
Oh, that's good.
You are dropping some gems for real here. I love it. Thank you so much. I'm gonna use about all of them. For real, for real.
Thank,
About
thank you, ladies. I appreciate all the time, the questions. I hope I've imparted some level of wisdom. And again, a host of people that I know that may at some point be guests on your show. But again, there's some really good information out there that I know of people and myself. We try to do the work of doing our own research and kind of putting into practice what we preach.
So can you tell the listeners, I know you're not really on social media, but can you tell them where they can find your book at least? And say the name again, just so that they can run out and get that and get more gems.
And sure. In search of James Evans, and yes, is fashioned after the James Evans from Good Times, Don Amos. It is on Amazon. And in regards to social media, no, I'm not as active, but I have a page for purposes just of business on Instagram, which is my primary base, GS the Matchmaker. But also, I take direct emails. So, agency 5683, which is basically agency love at gmail.com.
Great, great. Love it. All right, Ebony, do you have anything else?
I feel like I asked too many questions or a ton of questions. I don't have anything else. I just want to say thank you. I asked a little questions for little friends. I flipped them in there. So, and a couple of questions for myself. So,
All my questions for myself because I'm trying to put myself on. Okay, everybody else can come after me. No, but thank you so much. We appreciate you coming, and I feel like this episode is going to get some questions, so we might have to either shoot them to you or even bring you back because I know that this episode's fire.
Well, I appreciate it. I see you growing your audience. I love to see, Black women in business on media. So just like I said, honored to be invited. And of course, if anyone has any questions, again, if not myself, again, I have a ton of colleagues who I go to as well. So I'll definitely, if I can't find the answer, I have no problem looking it up and probably finding it out for you.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.